And I received an email. Many of you probably have received this type of an email before, but I want to share it with you, and it kind of highlights what some people think are the differences between men and women. The list comes from a male computer scientist who said that computers are female since, he says, no one but their creator understands their internal logic. Secondly, the native language they use to communicate with other computers is incomprehensible to everyone else. Thirdly, the message, bad command, or file name is about as informative as, if you don't know why I'm mad at you, then I'm certainly not going to tell you. And lastly, from the male scientist, computer scientist, he says, as soon as you make a commitment to one, you find yourself spending half your paycheck on accessories for it. Now, the female computer scientist responded back and said this: computers are male because they have a lot of data, but they are still clueless. They are supposed to help you solve problems, but half the time, they are the problem. As soon as you commit to one, you realize that if you had waited a little longer, you could have obtained a better model. And lastly, in order to get their attention, you have to turn them on. Ephesians 5:3 says, each of you should love your wives as himself, and each wife should respect her husband. This morning, and as quick as possible, we are going to journey through a book that I use for premarital counseling entitled His Needs, Her Needs. Dr. Willard Harley is a Christian counselor, and I was exposed to this book during my seminary years, and I was quite impressed with the book. Dr. Harley was interviewed on Focus on the Family when I was listening to it back in the early 90s. And then one of my seminarian friends comes up to me and says, hey, have you read His Needs, Her Needs? And I said, no, I don't know. I have a clue about the book. So I went to St. Joseph bookstore in St. Joseph, Michigan, and I purchased that book. And our journey this morning is going to be on the needs of a man, a husband, and the needs of a woman and a wife. And as I shared with you, the book is His Needs, Her Needs, but the subtitle is very interesting. It says, Building an Affair-Proof Marriage. We're talking about the needs of a man, the needs of a woman, the needs of a wife, the needs of a husband, in the context of marriage. I believe that these needs are biblical needs. The book is very simple, it's very practical. It reveals the needs of both husbands and wives. Dr. Harley says this: I want to help you make your marriage irresistible, so irresistible that neither husband or wife would think to turn to another person to fulfill your needs. One metaphor in your sermon outline and illustration that Dr. Harley uses in his book is what he calls a love bank. Now, when I prescribe this book in premarital counseling, I can't assume that couples will read a 200-page book. I can't. We don't have that time. So I lend them the audiobook. And when they come back to me, we debrief. And one of the things we debrief about is, what is a love bank? And invariably, you think in your mind, oh, a bank where you make deposits and where you take withdrawals. And so Dr. Harley uses this as a metaphor for meeting the needs of a husband and meeting the needs of a wife. He suggests that each person has a love bank account for those we deal with on a daily basis. For instance, I should have a love bank for my wife. I should have a love bank for my daughter. Matter of fact, he even suggests that we should all have love banks even for family and friends, where we are making deposits on a continual basis. And we'll talk about what those deposits are. Dr. Harley says that each person with the love bank account makes deposits or withdrawals with those you interact with. Pleasurable interactions cause deposits, and unfortunately, painful interactions cause withdrawals. His love bank concept is simply designed to underscore the fact that we affect each other emotionally in many areas. And this is a very critical point here. You see, for some husbands, you think that you have an incredible fortune built up in your wife's love bank. But you come to find out that the very action or the lack of is in fact withdrawing from the love bank. Maybe it's a bad habit. Maybe it's something that has annoyed your wife. And you say, well, I just don't know what's annoying her. Even though she might have been telling you with words, verbally, or she's told you with body language. So sometimes we don't understand that we can be making these withdrawals when we should be meeting her needs and making deposits. The husband says he didn't know that I'm supposed to